Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 46 of Impact Makers. And today, Dustin and I wanted to follow up on last week's message about advisory services. And so like we talked about last week, a great first step is to create your own definition, because there's a lot of confusion out there with respect to it, and there's a lot of power in defining what advisory services are for you. So with advisory service definition in their back pocket, Dustin, what should they do next? What's a simple next step or place to look to take compliance focused services and shift them towards advisory?
As we often say, don't overthink it, right? So it's easy to overthink. Oh my gosh, what do I have to do for advisory? Do I have to put together this fancy package and all of that? No, a simple first step is just get some proactive meetings on the calendar looking ahead, the next year or so with your client, whether it's, built into your engagement, it's semi-annual or quarterly or whatever. Just get some strategy sessions on the calendar where you go in and you don't even have to have a precise, well-defined agenda. Just have some high-level talking points and questions that you want to ask the client and get into some strategy and back and forth. And it's actually a very easy first step right now, especially coming off a tax compliance engagement, would be set up a time with your client over the next couple of months, May, June, July, over the summer, and just do a real quick recap of this is what happened last year. Let's look ahead. How are we compared to our plan? Where do you think you're going to be this year? Just have some brief meetings with your clients where you're showing that you're proactive. That leads to advisory opportunities and consulting opportunities just by setting those up, just by talking to your clients, just by asking some basic questions.
So Dustin, when I was listening to you say that, my old CPA brain started to twitch out. And what I mean by that is, you said asking them some questions was simple. You don't necessarily need a sophisticated agenda. Are you saying I don't have to have answers to the questions that I ask my clients?
Well played, Michael. Well played. No, you don't. That's the great thing about advisory is you don't have to have the answer right away to everything. You just need to be good at asking questions. You don't even need to be good at asking questions. Just start asking the questions. You'll get good at it.
So do you have everybody likes the cheat sheet, or my daughter was getting ready for a test that she has today, so she gets to take a note card in, so the high school students, when they get a note card, they got the super small print, like they have the answers all out there. Do you have a couple of favorite questions that people could leverage?
Yeah, a real easy one. Most people know this, but maybe some don't. But a real easy one is, what's keeping you up at night? What's bothering you right now? What are you concerned about? Some variation of that. You learn a lot by the answer to that question, and think about it. When you hear what's bothering your client or what's keeping them up, what's concerning them, and they open up and tell you that, if it's something that you can help them with, they're going to be so grateful for that and look at you at a different level. So that's always a good starting point is, hey, what's keeping you up at night? And then obviously you can always go back to the basics with with what looking at the numbers in the tax return, the numbers on the financial statement. If you see something that sticks out or is a little bit out of whack, you can ask them a question about, hey, what happened here? I noticed this expense increased significantly year over year, quarter over quarter. What's going on there? So those are a couple examples.
So there you have it. How do we get started on shifting compliance services to advisory services? Well, step one, following up from last week, define what advisory is. Step two, get some proactive meetings scheduled, at least semi-annually. But if you can, get some quarterly sessions on there. And what can you start with in your first meeting? A combination of recap and asking those simple questions.
And Michael, I want to add one more thing. Keep on reaching out to us. We've had a lot of feedback over the last couple of weeks on some of these advisory topics, and it really seems to be resonating within firms. So keep reaching out to us. This is not rocket science. We're having some great conversations with firms around the country around how to deploy these simple concepts.